The prepping community has grown significantly over the past few years since Rona took us all by surprise in 2020. If you're one of these dedicated preppers, welcome to the club. The prepping community is a colorful and diverse one, and you'll never know if your next-door neighbor is one in disguise, prepping quietly. Want to get to know these other preppers more and learn their secrets? Here are the 8 types of preppers you'll meet on your journey. First up, we got your typical prepper. This is your guy or gal next door who's got a few extra cans of beans in the pantry and a go bag packed just in case. They're not out there building bunkers or anything, but they're aware that shit can hit the fan and they want to be somewhat ready. They probably got into prepping after that whole toilet paper fiasco a few years back. These typical preppers, they're not trying to survive the apocalypse or anything. They're just thinking, hey, if a hurricane knocks out the power for a week, I don't want to be stuck eating ramen noodles in the dark. They're all about having enough food, water, and supplies to ride out a minor disaster. Now, don't get me wrong, being prepared is a good thing. But some of these typical preppers, they might be missing a few key elements, like have they thought about self-defense? What happens if things get really bad and people start getting desperate? It's not always about having enough supplies. Sometimes it's about knowing how to protect yourself and your family. And then there's the whole skills thing. You can have all the gear in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it's useless. But hey, everyone starts somewhere, right? At least they're thinking about preparedness, and that's more than I can say for a lot of people. It's a journey, and every step they take makes them a little more ready for whatever comes their way. Whether it's learning how to start a fire, set up a tent, or just doing a mock emergency drill with the family, every bit helps. And who knows, maybe they'll inspire their neighbors to get a little more prepared too. Because in the end, a prepared community is a resilient community. So here's to the typical preppers, doing their best to be ready for whatever life throws their way. Next, we've got the doomsday preppers. These are the folks who are convinced that the world is about to end, and hey, maybe they're right. Who knows? The future is unpredictable after all. But these guys and gals, they take prepping to a whole other level. I'm talking underground bunkers, stockpiles of weapons, enough food and water to last a lifetime. You name it, they've got it. From canned goods to medical supplies, they've thought of every possible scenario. These people have thought of everything. Solar flares, EMPs, nuclear war, they've got a plan for it all. Every potential disaster has been meticulously planned for. They've got escape routes, safe houses, the whole 9 yards. Their level of preparedness is truly impressive. Now, some people might call them crazy, but you know what? I kind of admire their dedication. It takes a lot of effort and commitment to be that prepared. They're not just sitting around waiting for the world to end. They're taking action. They're doing something about it. They're proactive, not reactive. And in a way, that's pretty badass. It takes guts to prepare for the worst. If the world really does go to hell in a handbasket, who are you going to want to be with? The guy who's freaking out because he's got no toilet paper, or the guy who's got a bunker full of supplies and a plan? Yeah, I'd rather be with the prepper. They offer a sense of security in uncertain times. Plus, even if the world doesn't end, they're still prepared for anything, natural disasters, economic collapse, you name it. So really, they're not so crazy after all. In fact, they might just be the smartest people around. Now, the survivalist, this is a different breed altogether. These guys and gals, they're not just prepping for a specific event, they're prepping for anything and everything that could come their way. They're like the MacGyver of the prepping world, always ready for the unexpected. They know how to survive in the wilderness, no matter the conditions. They can build a fire with their bare hands using nothing but primitive tools. They can hunt and trap their own food. They're the real deal living off the land. I've always been fascinated by survival skills, the knowledge and the discipline it takes. I mean, think about it. In our daily lives, we rarely face true survival situations. We live in this modern world where everything is so convenient, so easily accessible. We can get anything we need with a few clicks on our phones, from groceries to gadgets. But what happens when that's all gone, when the power goes out and the stores are empty? What happens when the grid goes down and we're on our own, far from the comforts of modern life? That's where the survivalist comes in. They thrive in situations where others might falter. They're not afraid of a little hard work. to do what it takes to survive. They are ready and willing to get their hands dirty. They know that survival is a skill, and it's a skill that takes time, dedication, and practice to master. And you know what? I think everyone should learn some basic survival skills, just in case. I'm not saying you need to go out and live in the woods for a year, but a little knowledge can go a long way. Knowing how to start a fire, find water, and build a shelter could save your life one day in ways you might not expect. Plus, it's just cool to know how to do these things. It connects us to our ancestors and to the natural world around us. Let's talk about the homesteader. This is the prepper who's gone all in on self-sufficiency. They're growing their own food, raising their own livestock, and generating their own power. They're living off the grid and loving it. I've got to say, I've got a lot of respect for homesteaders. They're not just talking about being prepared, they're living it. They're putting in the work to create a sustainable lifestyle for themselves and their families. And in a world that's increasingly uncertain, that's pretty damn impressive. Think about it. They're not reliant on grocery stores for their food. They're not reliant on power companies for their electricity. They're not reliant on anyone but themselves. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to go out and buy a farm, but there's a lot to be said for learning some basic homesteading skills, growing your own vegetables, canning your own food, even just learning how to fix things around the house. These are all valuable skills that can help you become more self-sufficient. Now, on the flip side of the doomsday prepper, we've got the minimalist prepper. These folks, they're all about doing more with less. They're not interested in stockpiling a mountain of supplies. They'd rather have a few key items that they know how to use well. I've got to admit, I kind of dig the minimalist prepper philosophy. It's all about being resourceful and adaptable. They're not weighed down by a bunch of stuff. They can move quickly and easily if they need to. And you know what? Sometimes less is more. When it comes to survival, it's not always about having the most stuff. It's about having the right stuff and knowing how to use it. Think about it. If you're bugging out on foot, you don't want to be carrying a 100-pound backpack. You want to be light and agile. Let's not forget about the self-defense prepper. These are the folks who are prepared to protect themselves and their loved ones if things go south. They're trained in self-defense. They might have a concealed carry permit, and they're not afraid to use force if necessary. Now, I'm not saying you need to become a martial arts expert or anything, but it's important to be able to defend yourself, especially in a grid-down situation. When the rules of society break down, you're going to want to be able to protect yourself and your family. And let's be honest, being able to handle yourself in a fight is just plain cool. It gives you a sense of confidence and self-reliance. You're not a victim. You're a survivor. But self-defense is not just about physical skills. Now, we've got to give a shout out to the veteran preppers. These are the men and women who have served our country, and they bring a whole other level of experience and expertise to the prepping world. I am a veteran, and I know many other veterans in the prepper world. I'm always blown away by their stories and their knowledge. They've been through some stuff, man. They've seen the worst that humanity has to offer, and they've come out the other side stronger and more resilient. Veterans know what it means to be prepared. They know what it means to be resourceful. They know what it means to be adaptable. And last but not least, we've got the lone wolf prepper. This is the prepper who's going it alone. They're not interested in joining a group or a community. They're doing their own thing on their own terms. Now, I get it. There's something appealing about the lone wolf mentality. You're independent, self-reliant, and you don't have to answer to anyone. But let's be real. Prepping is hard work. It's a lot easier and a lot more fun when you have other people to help you. So there you have it, the 8 types of preppers you'll meet on your prepping journey. Now, these are just a few examples, of course. There are as many different types of preppers as there are people in the world, but what unites us all is a desire to be prepared for whatever life throws our way. Whether it's a natural disaster, an economic collapse, or just a power outage, we want to be ready. We want to be able to take care of ourselves and our loved ones. Stay frosty, my friends. Keep your head down and your powder dry.